since the weekend has dawned, bids have been clinched, bubbles have been popped. Kevin Keats entered the transfer portal, and statements have been made by some of the biggest names in the game. Mike joins me in the studio, along with a special guest later on, to discuss the weekend that was in college basketball in approximately 20 seconds. Recording live from somewhere, this is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. We are powered by the galaxy's greatest website, drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich. Happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. Going to be joined later on by our friend Ryan Osterman from BracketBids. But first, he's El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X. The OG Money Mike. It's Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, a Sunday afternoon, a little afternoon delight for One and Done today. We hope to see the breadheads in the chat, but Mike, it's good to see you. What's up, man?
Hey, man, this is my second time on air today, so trying to pull the double header here with baseball season coming up, man. But I'm doing great. I had a nice day on Draftkings yesterday. Today, not so much. Wish I just slept in a little bit, but we had to get the people what they wanted on that Live Before Lock show. So appreciate anybody out there who joined me for that. And yeah, I've just been chilling on the couch watching hoops, man. It's been a lot of fun. We had 5 teams already clinch over the last couple of days. SIU, Edwardsville, Omaha, High Point. Drake just finished off Bradley, kind of ending that 2-bid MVC conversation, at least from my perspective. And then Linscomb just finished up as well. So yeah, happy to be here. Happy to kind of talk about some bubble teams, some weekend reaction, and also talk about the bracket bids that everyone should be signing up for.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Make sure to hop in that live chat that I mentioned. Hit that subscribe button. We're in subscribers only mode these days because we want you to hit that button, show us some love. Hop in that live chat, the liveliest live chat in all the land. Don't know about on a Sunday afternoon, what these guys are doing, if they're going to get in there today. But we hope to see the usuals, and we hope to see some new faces as well. Mike, some weekend reaction here. Let's hop right into it. Some conferences have already begun their postseason tournaments, but there was still plenty of regular season action from the high majors this weekend, including Alabama beating Auburn on the road, 93-91. Kentucky also ruining someone's senior night, beating Missouri 91-83. St. John's looking tough, winning by 2 versus Marquette, and yet another road win for a ranked team against a ranked opponent. Kansas beating a ranked opponent, Arizona in Lawrence, 83-76. And Michigan State today handily beating their rival Michigan, 79-62. Some great games over the weekend, Mike. What's your feel for how the regular season's wrapped up?
I mean, we got a lot to go through here over the next couple of weeks, man. But this Bama-Auburn game was straight fire, man. It felt like we were in the Final Four. With those two doing battle, and what a shot by Mark Sears driving through the lane. Thought Janai Broom should have stepped up, make him pass the ball or just force him into a tougher shot. But just an excellent game. And what a schedule for Alabama, Jay. They just had this run right here. 7 games, number 1 Auburn, number 15 Missouri, number 17 Kentucky, number 24 Mississippi State, number 5 Tennessee, number 4 Florida, and then yesterday's win at number 1 Auburn again. So they finished that stretch run 3-4, which hey, I mean almost 500. So but definitely had that Final Four feel, man. Mark Sears, he made the big shot, but he was just okay in that game. It was really Nelson, your boy Jay Grant Nelson, making some things happen. Cliff Moria was pretty good. They were able to kind of take advantage of some things inside. Thought Phylon played pretty well. Aiden Sherrill's given Bama a big lift over the past couple of games, so he's kind of a nice development piece. I think he's going to be a really good player for them in the future. And then on the Auburn side, I'm not sure what Chad Baker Mazzara was doing there, Jay, throwing elbows to the back of people's heads.
Yuck.
They really need him to be successful. I mean, he's a really good two-way player for them. So just kind of a weird and ugly play. But any thoughts on this Alabama-Auburn game?
Well, that was one where we looked at it when we discussed it from a DFS perspective and drooled all over it with that implied total. And boy, did it pay off for sure. But no, that's kind of the game that we expected. And yeah, Sears outside of that shot was good enough. But great game there for sure. What you would expect from two teams of that quality. What about Kansas, man? Hunter Dickinson looking really nice there. Pretty big performance in what will be his last game there at home.
Is he done? Is he?
Isn't he? Is he somebody that's going to have another way to find a 17th year of eligibility, or is it has the sun set?
I think the sun has set.
Okay.
And what a game to have the sun set there. 33-10. Like, what a performance. And I was happy to see Zeke Mayo have a big performance. Took him a little while to get going, but that whole social media deal where he posted after the last loss about what people were saying to him, which is just insane. Some sad stuff there, but glad to see him have a really nice performance. What's interesting is Bill Self is basically just playing his 5 starters. Harris, Mayo, Griffin, Adams, Dickinson, all 32-plus minutes. They shot 38% from 3 and only had 4 turnovers. So the problem, Jay, has never been defensively with this team. I keep banging the drum on that. They're top 10 in defensive efficiency. It just, the offense has not looked connected. And I thought Rylan Griffin would fit in a little bit better. He's starting to come on a little bit. AJ Storr has not worked out. David Coit, the transition's been a little bit tough for him. I still have some doubts, but this is definitely a team that can make the Sweet 16. For Arizona, man, I don't think they played a bad game. Obviously, their defense could have been a bit better, but I actually thought they played a solid game on the road. So, Arizona is kind of one of those wild card teams, man, where, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they made it to an Elite Eight or Final Four, and it wouldn't shock me if they lost in the first round. So, but for Kansas, Jay, I'm not out on them as a lot of people are right now.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. Arizona, I hold Arizona close to my heart when it comes to tournament time, for better or for worse, quite often. And again, it's one of those teams that if they make a deep run, nobody's going to be surprised, but they also won't be surprised if they lose in the first round. Mike, what about this Wally right here whining a little bit? Doesn't think that Michigan State should be a team that we should talk about, but I think that they are. We got to really start discussing them in that conversation as a team that could win this whole thing.
Yeah, I guess I got to start believing. 1, you have Izzo. 2, they're starting to play their best players bigger minutes, and that's kind of been the thing. Throughout the entire season, they've been playing this wide rotation. Nobody's playing more than 25 minutes. They've been pretty connected, but now you're starting to see Akins and Richardson really become the number 1 and number 2 option, and those guys are on the floor for 32 to 34 minutes. So Richardson, man, just you got Flagg, you got Bailey, Harper, Queen, Asanul, all these freshmen, all this. He's 35th in the country in offensive efficiency. So I don't necessarily feel like they have a star, but he is definitely a really, really good player, and they're loaded with depth. I do worry, and I have this worry with Texas A&M. I have this worry with St. John's. They're 336th in three-point shooting, 30%. So if they're not efficient inside and they're not playing tough defense, which they're a top 10 team nationally in defensive efficiency, they're one of the teams that they catch the right mid-major, man. It could be tough for them. But for Michigan on their side, man, that's the 3rd straight loss. We've been talking about them on the downside, man. They just look so disconnected offensively. This double big lineup that people have been having trouble with, it doesn't seem to be as much of a trouble, but it's really that, Wolf and Golden had nice games today. It's really the other guys. They got nothing, 0 from their backcourt. Nobody did anything. And if they don't get at least one of those guys to consistently do something, a lot of people thought at the beginning of the year it was going to be Roddy Gale. He's now coming off the bench. It's got to be Trey Donaldson for me, man. He's got to be that dude. But I know you're not as high on Michigan. I know Eric's not as high on Michigan. I still think just that double big's going to pose problems for whatever mid they get in the first round, because you typically don't have that type of talent to match up when you're in the mid majors. But yeah, that 2nd and 3rd round for them, man, it could get dicey pretty quick.
Well, I understand Trey Donaldson needing to step up, but Can Danny Wolf figure this out?
Can you make a shot?
This would be great if you're a Michigan fan. It's just because if he gets going, that energy that he brings, everything that he does leads to other things. And when he's struggling like he is, man, they're not going to do very much at all. So it's tough for them for sure. On the downslide, what's not on the downslide is a live chat that's on fire, of course. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, Mike, of course, the champ right there, the champion of the one and done invitational. That's him right there. The MC Holland 34 Classic, as I like to call it. Kansas was left for dead a few weeks. Oh, man, Eric, yeah, you're right. It does feel that way. Our guy, Eric the Blue, pushing the buttons behind the scene at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets if you want to check out all the work that he's doing. Darren does not feel very confident about Kansas's chances moving forward. And I happen to agree with this take right here about Izzo. If he was coaching the old Schulenburg Shorthorn middle schoolers out there in Fayette County, Texas, I would bet on them, at least to get past the first round, just to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. Good stuff. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Show your broskies and basketball some love right here. Do your part in the one and done universe. Be a good breadhead. If you want to represent one and done out there in those DK streets, let us know here on YouTube, and we'll get you one of those logos you can put in the old avatar. That'd be pretty sweet. Been seeing more and more of them hanging out.
Yeah, man, that's
in the
been pretty
invitationals.
cool.
It's been pretty awesome to see. So if you want one of those, give us a shout. Little coaching news here, Mike. I teased it in the cold open. Kevin Keats with one of the greatest sign-offs in the history of coaching moves there on his Twitter announcement, saying he's entering the transfer portal when we know that he's been let go from his job after 8 years at NC State and not just after 1 year after NC State's first trip to the Final Four since 1983. That's Jimmy V, ladies and gents.
Yeah, Jimmy V.
And if you were, cutting down and looking for somebody to hug, it's been that long since NC State made a trip to the Final Four and their first ACC tournament title since 1987. Mike, what are your thoughts on the news that Keats is out at NC State?
I mean, he lost a lot of talent. Now, I guess the argument is that he should have replaced the talent. I kind of like what I saw from some of their freshmen this year. But, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great season. But he'd won 49 games, nearly 50 games in the prior 2 seasons. He's brought in talent. So, Terquavion Smith, Jarkel Joyner, DJ Burns, I don't know. This is a hard place to win at. You have Duke, you have, UNC right there. I mean, doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I'm thinking that the plan was they were moving on before the ACC tournament last year. He happened to go on the incredible run. I don't know if there were maybe some things happening, before the season. I doubt it, right? Because you just never know. You don't want to tell the coach, hey, if you don't make this or that you're not going to be here. So the whole thing just kind of seems weird, man. I'm not a fan of it, especially he just came off a Final Four. Don't tell me he can't coach. He'll get picked up pretty quickly.
He will get picked up pretty quickly. And also, we were sort of talking in the group chat earlier this morning about how, do you make a move like this unless there's some things on the back channels already sort of cooking? Do you have a name in mind already, or 2 names in mind already? Your A and your B, and if those don't work, then you just, figure it out. But it feels like a year after a Final Four appearance, you might have a little longer of a leash there. But no is the answer for Kevin Keats out at NC State after 8 years. Good stuff, everybody. Keep the live chat rolling. Like and subscribe so you can get into that. Those subscribers have been taking us to the moon, and we appreciate
13
that.
away from 1,400. 13 away.
13 away. That means carry the 2. There's 1,387. Okay.
1,388, sir.
All right, there we go. 1,388 now. 12 away. Just a dozen away from 1,400. Let's get it there. Push a couple of those buttons if you haven't already. How about those names being kicked around here at NC State too? Will Wade, of course. Will Wade. Every job that comes open. Oh, Will Wade. Yeah, Will Wade. I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like a good fit for me. Tony Skin out of George Mason. Richard Pitino, New Mexico, as well. Mike. I don't know. It feels like they feel confident probably that they can land one of these bigger names. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know why you
make this move.
You make this move right now. So we shall see how it goes. NC State's bid for the brackets has failed. But if you were wanting to bid on a bracket this year, I got some good news for you. With our friends at BracketBids, you can do just that. And right now, we'd like to welcome in our friend Ryan Osterman from BracketBids today to talk a little bit about what it looks like, where it came from, the crazy thought of adding a fantasy sports element to the bracket like they have. We've been talking about BracketBids on the show now for a few weeks, and now we can put a face to the name. So, Breadheads, let's welcome in Ryan to the show. Ryan, first of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks for partnering with us this year. We wanted to have you on and ask you, man, what is BracketBids? Where did it start? Give us a masterclass in what to think about BracketBids, man.
Right. Well, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good to be on with the conductor and the captain here. It's kind of like a long-time listener, first-time joiner here or something like that, right? Right. But BracketBids, we are, for the ones out there that have ever done a auction draft in any kind of fantasy football or NBA, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You form a league. 8 to 12 people is usually ideal, but what you're doing is you're starting out with the same bidding dollars. Everyone starts out with 1,000, fake bidding dollars, we'll call it, and the teams come up for auction, just like you would for players in fantasy football. That timer starts ticking down, and it gets under 10, and if you bid, it goes back up to 10. So you kind of have a shot at getting any team that you want, but you got to cleverly use those 1,000 bidding dollars, and navigate those waters to secure the teams you think will go the distance, as you've been saying for the last month. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot more interaction, I would say, with your league members. I'm getting texts right now, starting this week, like, "Hey, Auburn's going for over 600." Like, the next text says, and the next text is like, "You can have them." So multiple conversations are already starting. That type of interaction happens during the draft as well. I got a buddy who's a big Texas fan. I don't know if anyone here is, but when Texas comes along, I'll keep bidding just because I know I'm bidding them up because my friend's gonna keep bidding. So yeah, the interaction is good. We have the average auction value that we stick in there too. So when you're in the draft room, we keep that tally of what are these teams actually going for across the entire BracketBids community. So when you come in, and a team comes up that's up for bid, you're going to know kind of in the ballpark of what you should be expecting. But sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes we just watched Drake punch their ticket to the tournament here, and man, they look tough. They do. They're efficient. They don't worry when the shot clock gets under 10 seconds. That's the way they play, and so good luck to any team that draws them. That's going to have to be just as efficient, and you're not going to speed them up. It just doesn't feel that way. So I already know that when I get my league and Drake comes up, I'm hopefully have saved enough to get them. So we have different scoring settings too. So, and the reason Drake becomes a hot commodity is one of our main scoring setting is the round of 16 bonus, or Sweet 16 bonus in a way. And so what we do there is the lowest seeds, basically, or I don't know how you want to say it, but if Drake makes it to the Sweet 16 and they're the highest seed to make it, they get a larger portion of the pot, if you will. Yeah. So we hand out bonus points to the top 3 or highest 3 seeds to make it to the Sweet 16. So and basically, if you had Drake and there wasn't a 13, 14, 15 seed that did make it to Sweet 16, they're getting the largest portion of that, and it's just like having a Final Four team on your roster, right? So if I know I can speak to one year that I won my league, I had Virginia the year they won it all, and I also had Oregon, who was a 12 seed that made it to the Sweet 16. So I got the winner and I got the Sweet 16 bonus. So that was kind of big. So and as your teams move forward, at round by round, the points grow, right? So if winning the Elite Eight game is much more valuable than winning a first round game. So the key is to try and get as many teams as possible that you think will go the furthest. But if you spend 600 on Auburn, good luck finding where you're going to use the other 400. Because you got your other league members are going to be bidding on other teams as well. So yeah, a lot of fun. So
hey Ryan, I got a question for you, man.
Sure.
How do you determine like the order of your auction? How long,
Sure.
Is there a timer for it, and how long
Right.
does a typical draft kind of take
Right.
for that?
Yeah. Good questions. I'll start with the draft portion first. I mean, typical draft is an hour to an hour and a half. I that's what we typically see. We try to make it a fast pace draft because, hey, you have basically between the unveiling of the bracket Sunday night to the start of the games on Thursday at noon. So you have this small window, unlike fantasy football, that you can have a month to do your draft. We have 3.5 days. So so the draft's pretty quick. We start with a 25-second timer. It'll tick down, and then if it gets under 10 and somebody bids, it goes back up to 10. So yeah, it keeps the draft moving. It's fast paced. And then the order, we did have to think through the order, right? If we just random drew 64 teams, you could potentially end up with 1 seeds at the bottom, and then it just doesn't really work out. So we had to think through that. It's not like fantasy football where you might have these players that are average or decent enough that you're going to keep bidding on them. No, there's a very large difference between how much you're going to put on a 1 seed versus a 16 seed. So what we did to make it still random, but in somewhat of an order, is we grouped them. So seeds 1 through 4 are grouped together, and then they're randomized. And those will be the first 16 teams that are up for bid. So you might have a 4 seed that goes first, and that's fine. And then after those 16 teams are done, you'll move on to the next 16, where seeds 5 through 8 will be shuffled and put in order. But you'll know that order actually, you'll know that order Sunday night, because once you start your league, that auction order is actually already created. It's just kind of blanketed right now because there's no teams in the tournament at the moment, or it's not set up yet, right? But once we all hear Selection Sunday completed, we'll be busy behind the scenes setting up that bracket, and it usually only takes us half hour, 45 minutes to get it all set up. After that, you'll know the complete order of your auction and kind of be able to look and see what teams you want to go for. So we bring additional stats in. I mentioned the average auction value, but we also bring in KenPom stats. I mean, it is an app that's very much for the general. Yeah, it's an app built generally, for the general population, the general hoop heads out there. But if you're a little bit bigger into it, like some of us, it's cool to see the offensive and defensive rankings for KenPom, the net ranking. We have a few things like that to keep people interested, so you can compare each team to each other. So yeah.
Ryan Olson from BracketBids, friend of the show. Very happy to partner with BracketBids this season. We do have one question for you in the chat before we get you out of here.
Sure.
Our friend Darren, that always likes to hang out with us and hangs out at our socials too.
Yeah.
Man. You do know, if you didn't know, Mike and I, both live within a stone's throw of the University of Texas. And both support UT, and we don't try to hide it, but obviously it doesn't cloud what we do here. But the people want to know,
right?
Who's your school?
So I'm up here in Minnesota, which doesn't sound that great when you know the weather and when you know that the main D1 school here is the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So if they could hit a free throw, I'd be a much bigger fan. But unfortunately, I'll cheer them on. And they'll come in 12th to 15th in the Big Ten every year, and that's okay. But so my allegiance lies with Minnesota, but that also gives me the ability to cheer on a lot of teams. I'm kind of a closet Creighton fan. I enjoy good defense, so I'll find those rooting interests to cheer for. So, but yeah, I guess go Gophers.
There you go. Hey, we did have one question in the chat about
Sure.
about the format. How important
Yeah.
is it to having the champ in your bracket or in your team, in your league, as opposed to having the larger majority of Sweet 16 Elite Eight upsets?
Yeah, so you can check out the scoring settings on our site too to kind of get a better idea of what's going on. It's obviously very important to have the champ, I would say, more than anything. We do try and keep the round by round scoring to a spot where the champ won't just win you your league. I mean, I did see one of the leagues I was in last year, they had UConn, but they didn't win. So another team had NC State. They had, I think, Purdue as well. So and NC State got you the bonus because they made a Sweet 16 and they're the highest seed to do it. And they also got a Final Four, made it to the Final Four. So double whammy there. And so yeah, having UConn, I think they took second, but that's rare for you not to win it if you don't have the champ. So I should also mention too, if the best option here is to get your league going right now, because you can start it up. You don't have to activate it. You have like a week here. You can send out a league link to what I did. I mean, I got a league with high school buddies, a league with college buddies that I've kind of reunited with, but it's pretty easy to send it out to that group chat that you have for fantasy football. Get that league link sent out. If you don't get enough members, hey, no harm, no foul. You haven't activated your league yet, and you can still participate in our bracket pick'em. I mean, that's a one player. What you do is a lot like Draftkings. You select your teams, you stay under the cap, and you're going to compete against the entire BracketBids community. So we have a couple games involved in our app. So, and both on Google Play, on the Apple App Store, or you can use the website too. Either way works to connect. So
it's a good looking app. Just going through it on the phone today. It's excellent. Got my account, and we hope that everybody watching gets theirs as well. Get over to BracketBids.com or download the BracketBids app today. Someone showed some love while we were chatting about BracketBids, up to $13.89. So show Ryan some more love by smashing all those buttons and getting over to BracketBids.com. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today, for partnering with us this March. Looking forward to working with you down the road, and looking forward to everybody heading over to BracketBids app and BracketBids.com, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Awesome. Good stuff there. Ryan Osterman with BracketBids and BracketBids.com. Good stuff there. A new approach to March. Let's level up this March and get over to BracketBids. One more segment here on a Sunday afternoon, if you're watching live, of course. Before we get on out of here, a little bubble talk. Little tourney talk as well. Going to get to some of Lenardi's latest here. Multi-bid leagues. The thing that not surprised me, but the thing that stood out to me the most is that the Big East, Mike's still sitting with 5 teams there. Nothing else really shocking me at the moment. Looks like Xavier is in right now, according to Lenardi, and Oklahoma as well, being that last team in. Texas on the first 4 out. Wake Forest, SMU, the next 4 out. Mike, just your general thoughts on the bubble this weekend.
Yeah, so Lenardi does this thing where he throws it out on either Friday night or Saturday morning, and he's one of the better ones to follow. Obviously, we like to dissect his perspective on things. And if you were a last 4 in team this weekend, you're loving life right now. San Diego State, Indiana, Xavier, Oklahoma, all won. If you were a first 4 out, you did the opposite. And a lot of these teams are basically done unless you can win a conference championship, which Nebraska can't even do that because they didn't make the Big Ten field. So, North Carolina, Texas, Boise State, all on the outside looking in, needing a deep run or to win their conference championship to get the automatic qualifier. So, man, just looking at that, I think the next 4 out, like Colorado State beating Boise State, you have to think that, they're in decent position right now heading into the Mountain West tournament. Wake Forest, surprisingly, still hanging around the ACC. They released last night their bracket, and guess who's on the same side as Duke? It's Wake Forest and North Carolina. So, that Wake Forest, another opportunity. I don't think they can just beat Duke now. I think they have to actually beat Duke and potentially win the ACC championship to get in, man. But it was a pretty poor weekend for the first 4 out. Bad losses by Texas and Nebraska today against Iowa. That was a Man, that was a sinking ship right there, Jay. So, yeah, bubble getting a little bit clearer. It wasn't very clear last week. Now it's getting pretty clear.
Not crystal clear yet, but on its way. You mentioned that this last weekend was great for the next 4 out group and therefore the bid stealer leagues. Who's in that conversation, Mike?
Yeah, so we watched the Missouri Valley just wrapped up about an hour and a half ago or so, and so that kind of takes away. If Bradley had beaten Drake had a legitimate shot to be, one of those bid stealers. But there's no way the committee's going to put in an 8-loss Bradley team. So that's kind of shifting the focus from the Missouri Valley over to the A10, where you're going to have Virginia Commonwealth, VCU, and George Mason, 2 really, really good teams out of that conference. If they can, obviously put some wins together in the A10 tournament, they are going to be a potential bid stealer. The WCC, we mentioned this the other day, Jay. I mean, Gonzaga and St. Mary's are in. Can anybody beat both of them to get to the to the AQ? I doubt it. No. I mean, the two best chances there are Santa Clara and San Francisco. So we'll see if one of those 2 teams can do it. And then the AAC, man. If Memphis doesn't win, everybody's got a shot. It's probably going to be like a UAB, Darren's North Texas, Wichita State, or Florida Atlantic. Memphis is in regardless of what happens. Those other teams are not in. So that is the one that you're probably paying attention to the most. The A10 seems like more of an outside looking in type deal.
All right. It's time for me to be able to give myself my own flowers here, because I can be so negative about Hubert Davis again. After a year after he made me look foolish, I was calling for his job after missing the tournament. 2022, right? Made the national title game. 2023 misses the tournament altogether. 2024, okay, a little bit better, right? 2025 now. What is this, Mike? How do you describe UNC season? Is Hubert Davis back next year, in your opinion?
I think he gets one more, man. I think it's because he's talked to his athletic director about what they need, and what they needed was to hire a GM. So Jim Tanner is going to be the GM there. Roster management, player development, NIL, transfer strategies. Duke went to this a few years ago. A lot of the power programs are going to this model. You have to start treating this like professional basketball, because it is. That loss of Baycott, it was too much to overcome for these guards. We're seeing now that, RJ Davis is a great player, but the spacing's a little bit easier when you have a guy that you can dump it down to and can get 20 and 10. So without him, we really got to see some struggles out of UNC this year. So they have some talent coming in. I don't think they want to let him go, because you have the 5-star Caleb Wilson, the power forward, coming in. You got 2 other top 50 kids. So the talent's going to be there for UNC. I just think the portal is where, they missed, this past year. We thought Kate Tyson would be more impactful. Vanilla Lubin didn't come on until late in the year. Jalen Washington maybe didn't progress as much as we thought in his 3rd year. So, yeah, I think every year you can have an opportunity to completely reset your roster. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think we'll hang on to some of the talent that you have here, Jay, but I think he gets one more opportunity, man. And that's
all right. Well, let me ask you this. I still think they have an opportunity to find their way in. Like, I don't think that's not like that's completely off the table here, right? It's not. But where it sits right now, I don't think they should complain and moan if they don't make it in at this point. Like, yeah, what is their quad 1 record? Like,
I think 1 in 11 or something.
It's ugly.
Yeah,
it's not good. So I mean, you can't complain. You can't, and it's not like they had a ton of opportunities in the ACC to just run. It's not like the grind of the SEC where every other night was a quad 1 opportunity. Like, you just don't get there. Peanut Butter Posse, we're seeing a lot of coaches have to make this adjustment, right? Like, and sometimes their school is willing to help them bridge that gap with a general manager, with the NIL funds, with all of that stuff. And if Hubert Davis can get what he needs in that regard, and they can get this thing rolling, then he won't just have to rely on that talent alone. But it'll be interesting to see if they do give him another year, especially if they don't make the tournament, and to see where that goes. So good to see Peanut Butter Posse in the chat for sure. Darren hollering at us saying that we need another MC Holland invitation. We will. We'll have
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming, my guy. Don't worry. They'll be there. Especially Mike's not ever. We're not going to end on Mike winning one for sure. I wouldn't allow that to be the case. He can't. He's not going to be able to do that. A lot of isolation for the Tar Heels. Yeah, man. Well, again, it's a lot of talent. and maybe not
The
all of
fit.
the other things going on there, right? We talk
Fit
about
is so
square peg,
important.
round hole stuff all the time, and maybe having a GM on campus can help Hubert Davis and the rest of that staff to give them more time to focus on that fit and what that looks like, the players that they do need to be successful, because there's a blueprint on how Hubert Davis can be successful. You don't have to go that far back
Yeah.
in recent memory to see him be successful.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes for sure. Good stuff. Like and subscribe button. We already got one since the show started. We appreciate that. We appreciate Ryan Osterman for hopping on with us from BracketBids as well. One more thing, Mike, before we get out of here, some tickets have been punched, 5 of them actually at the time of this recording. SIU, Edwardsville, Omaha, High Point, Drizzy Drake, and Lipscomb punched their tickets from the mid-major ranks. We don't always get to see the best teams represent their conferences, with the conference tourney winner getting that automatic bid, and we've already seen one example of that. So, I don't know, man. We were talking pre-show that we are going to get some of the best programs in the mids out of this, some of the best rebounding teams, some of the best get up and down teams as well. These 5 teams in general, do you feel like any of them could make some noise? What other teams are you watching that can make noise in March?
Yeah, man. SIU Edwardsville, that's a pretty cool story. I don't know if you saw, the coach with the had the scissors in the box that they said, they didn't turn Division I until I think 8 years ago or so. And it's first time cut down the nets for the OVC championship. So that was pretty cool. Hey, Rayshon Taylor tweeted about it last night. Stuck out his entire career there. Had some injuries there. Could have left. Could probably play in the A10 if he wanted to. Stuck it out with SIUE. And hey, look, the problem with SIUE is they're going to draw a 16 seed. So, good luck with that. I feel like Omaha is probably going to be a 15 or 16 coming out of the Summit League. Most likely a 15 just based on how strong the Summit League was. I love the little trash can bit. They did a whole thing on SportsCenter the other day, and some AEW tag team guys getting involved. Man, Markel Sutton's a really nice forward, averaging 19 points per game. The problem is they're coming up to a 2 seed. You don't see that very, very often throughout your season when you're in the Summit League, specifically in the non-con. So one of those teams that hasn't seen a Q1 opportunity in 2 years is making the dance, and actually one of my favorite teams because you just don't know. There's this unknown with High Point in the Big South. I think they're dangerous, but we don't know because they haven't played anybody in the last 2 years. It's basically the same cast of characters. They're 25th in the country in offensive efficiency. You've got 4 really good players. Keza Giffa, the guard, 15 points per game. Demorian Williams averaging 14 points per game. He played at Tech the last couple of years. Bobby Pettiford, people remember him from his ECU days and also from Kansas. So Kamani Hamilton, 14 points per game. They're projecting as a 13 or 14 seed. They're going to be a problem in the right matchup. They got a lot of guys that can do some things. Ryan was talking about Drake. Coach McCollum just done an awesome job after they lost Coach DeVries and a ton of talent, basically replaced the entire roster. They're slow, but like Ryan said, they are super efficient. So when you drain the clock down and you're able to be efficient and you play tough defense, that is a recipe for success here. Drake probably projecting as like a 10 or 11 seed at worst. Lipscomb out of the A-Sun. We love that Jacob Ognosovich is back, man. Missed all of last year, almost near the 20-10 season. We talked about Will Pruitt being a really good guard out of that league, and they have solid metrics, 75th in offensive efficiency, 106th in defensive efficiency. They're projecting as a 13. I profile someone like a High Point being more of a stylistic clash for Lipscomb. They got some guys that have been around and are going to lean on some experience. And then, programs that could be a problem, Jay, if they make it through. McNeese, ho-hum, haven't heard from them in a while, right? Out of the Southland. Grand Canyon in that same boat. Chattanooga out of the SoCon. And then you see San Diego or you see Irvine out of the Big West. I think those teams have an opportunity, if they're able to win that AQ, to make some noise in the tournament for sure.
Peanut Butter Posse hopping back in, having a feeling based on nothing but gut that Auburn and Duke will not be in the Elite Eight. Both of those teams, man, that's the kind of chaos. I love anarchy.
Listen, that would be chaos.
Listen, I love anarchy in general, like with this sort of stuff, when it comes to sports. I love me some anarchy as much as the rest, as much as the next guy, I should say. But I got to be honest with you, this year, those are 2 teams that I want to see at the end of this tournament. Okay, I'm not as a fan of college basketball. Those are 2 teams that I want to see. Yeah, UNT did play High Point. I saw that the High Point got the better of them there in December. Man, Mike, this is going to be, I hope, we always talk about how we love to see upsets. We love to see these teams that make, and then it gets down to it. And it's just like, I just want to watch the biggest names play college basketball, man. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. This is shaping up to be a fun one, though. Any thoughts to wrap us up here before we get out?
No, man, we're going to have plenty of content coming down. I'll be on XM Radio tonight, 10:30 Central, on VSIN, so the sports betting network. So if you guys are up tonight, 11:30 Eastern, join for your boy out there. Going to be chatting some college hoops. So looking forward to that, man. But man, I'm just going to be watching college basketball. I'm off from work for the next 9 days. So I'll be laid up on the couch watching hoops, man.
Even though Josh says there's no clear number one like last year, man, I hope that these teams make one of those top teams at least makes a run deep. I definitely want to see it go. And Peanut Butter Posse, obviously our resident Kentucky fan asking about wanting to see Lamont Butler and his $6 million man shoulder making another run. Why not? I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy it for sure. Yeah, U of H holds some SEC team to 58 points. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, Mike. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, and I wouldn't be surprised if all the breadheads in the entire world went over to BracketBids or BracketBids.com, signed up right there. Use that promo code BREAD for 40% off. It ends up being $15 activation fee if you use the promo code BREAD. It's $25 to activate your league. You use that, $10 off, 40% off right there. Slash it. $15 basically to start your league over at BracketBids. So get over there right now. Download the app, BracketBids.com. Create your account. Promo code BREAD when you activate over there. 1,389 subs on YouTube. Let's get to 1,390 on this show alone. So if you're watching later on, hit those buttons. We would definitely appreciate you. Thanks for Darren. Thanks to Peanut Butter Posse. Thanks for Josh Gillum, of course. Good to see Josh in the live chat again. Romoff, Mr. Eric Romoff. Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav pushing the buttons today. Hey, shout out to our guy at the Real Napier, Napesy Hustle, who's getting over having, I think, a fever of 1,842 degrees on a couple of different occasions there. So shout out to Nape. Shout out to everybody for hanging out with us today. Make sure you have that notification bell on because our DFS content's going to keep it rolling. I'll be back and maybe with some special guests on Thursday for sure. Who knows, midweek with some news and notes, some happenings that have gone so far. It is the best time of the year, Peanut Butter Posse, for sure. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I had to get some singing in today. We definitely appreciate Ryan Osterman for hanging out with us. Thank you to Mike El Capitan of the.
Uh-oh. I guess Jay decided that, he's been hating on me since I won the MC Holland Invitational. So I guess he signed out and let me do the signing off. But we'll be back soon. We're going to have DFS content coming up. We're going to have a Thursday show now along with Sunday recaps. Obviously, we have the brackets coming up. We'll do a reaction to when the bracket comes out. Man, we'll be all over the place, all over the airwaves. So appreciate everyone for sticking it out with us. But that was Jay Heinrich. I'm Mike Holland. This is One and Done CBB. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.